People will forget your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel. If you don't know how to read emotions, you'll keep misreading situations and hurting relationships. Every interaction you have is a chance to connect or disconnect. The choice lies in your ability to listen, notice, and respond in the right way. You don't need to be loud to stand out. You just need to understand people better than they understand themselves. Social intelligence is not about being perfect. It's about being present, aware, and intentional with your words, actions, and reactions. Today, we'll talk about how to master the skill of reading people's emotions, understanding their needs, and responding with clarity and empathy. This is how real connections are made and influence is built. You'll learn what makes others feel seen, heard, and respected, and how that can completely transform your personal and professional life. If you're ready to finally connect deeper, lead smarter, and make every interaction count, then let's dive in. Number 1. Pay close attention to nonverbal cues and gestures. Most people walk into a room, into a conversation, into a relationship, and they miss almost everything. They think they're aware. They believe they're present. But the truth is, they're just waiting for their turn to talk. They don't notice the way someone's eyes lower when a certain topic comes up. They don't catch the way a person's hands tighten or their shoulders raise just a little. They miss the pause before the smile, the sigh before the answer. They think words are enough. But words are just one part of the story. If you want to succeed in life, not just in business, not just in leadership, but in relationships, in influence, in truly connecting with people, you have to learn to see. You have to learn to pick up on the silent messages people are constantly sending. You have to learn to pay attention to the things that are never said, but always shown. This is what separates someone who's socially average from someone who is socially intelligent. People who master social intelligence don't guess what others are feeling. They know, because they've learned to read the room with precision. Let's be honest. Most people are blind when it comes to nonverbal communication. They don't realize that 70% of what someone communicates comes without words. It comes from posture, facial expression, eye contact, or the lack of it. You can hear a man say, "I'm fine," and know instantly that he isn't, just by the way he avoids your gaze or shrugs his shoulders like he's trying to disappear. You can watch a woman laugh at a joke, but if you're really paying attention, you'll see that her eyes didn't laugh with her mouth. That tells you something. If you're awake, if you're really tuned in, you won't just hear what someone says, you'll hear what they don't want to say. And that's where the truth often lives. Being socially intelligent means becoming a student of people, watching how they move when they feel confident, noticing how they withdraw when they feel judged, observing how their hands fidget when they're anxious. Paying attention to the moment someone goes quiet in a group, because that silence is a message too. Are they bored? Offended? Insecure? You won't know unless you're watching, not just hearing. You can't wing this. You've got to train yourself. We live in a noisy world, and most people are tuned out. They're scrolling on their phones, thinking about what they'll say next, planning their response instead of observing. But there's real power in slowing down, in becoming more deliberate, in watching how people breathe, how they lean in, how their expressions change depending on who's speaking. The tiniest physical shifts tell you where someone stands emotionally. This isn't about becoming manipulative or trying to control people. This is about becoming human, about understanding that people are layered and not all of them have the words or the courage to say what they're truly feeling. You might meet someone who's always joking. Everyone thinks they're the life of the party. But if you watch closely, you might see that they look away every time the subject of family comes up. That little flicker matters. It's a clue. And when you can pick up those clues, when you can read what others don't know how to say, you become someone others trust. You become someone who sees them when no one else does. It's not just about deep emotional moments either. Even in everyday interactions, reading nonverbal cues gives you an edge. In business meetings, a nod of the head can tell you who's on board before they even speak. In interviews, the tapping of a pen can show discomfort. In a first date, how someone leans in or leans back can say more than the words they're using. If you miss these signals, you miss the moment. But if you catch them, you stay in control. You stay connected. You stay sharp. But here's the truth. Learning to see people clearly starts with caring enough to look. And that's the part most people skip. You can't fake it. People know when you're just looking at them and when you're really seeing them. They can feel it. And that feeling, the sense of being noticed, understood, valued, that's what builds relationships that last. That's what makes someone want to open up to you. That's what draws people closer, whether it's in your career, your friendships, or your family. And don't think you have to be perfect. You just have to practice. Start by noticing small things. Next time someone speaks to you, watch their eyes. Are they holding your gaze or drifting? Look at their mouth. Is it tight or relaxed? What's their breathing like? Shallow? Deep? Are their shoulders open or pulled in? All of these are signals. And the more you pay attention, the better you'll get. The faster you'll understand who's really comfortable, who's pretending, who's honest, and who's hiding something. It's not magic, it's not talent, it's intention, it's effort, and it pays off. Every great leader, every great speaker, every trusted friend or partner, they all have this in common. They know how to read people. They don't just hear what's being said. They see what's being felt. And when you can do that, you have the power to respond, not react, not judge, not assume, but respond with clarity, compassion, and confidence. That's influence. That's connection. That's what builds trust fast and deep. Start practicing. Pay attention when someone walks in the room. How do they carry themselves? What does their energy say before they even speak? Watch their hands when they talk. Are they relaxed, or do they keep fidgeting? Notice how they sit when they're alone compared to when they're in a group. These aren't small things. These are the things that matter. This is how you rise. This is how you stand out in a world full of noise. You learn to notice what others miss. You see what others overlook. You care enough to really watch, and in doing so, you'll become someone people listen to, not because you demand their attention, but because you've earned their respect. You've shown them you're present, you're sharp, you're aware, and most of all, you're real. Number 2, listen fully before forming your response or judgment. Too many people today pretend to listen. They nod at the right moments. They throw in a yeah or I get it, but their mind is already somewhere else, either racing ahead to what they want to say or jumping to conclusions they haven't earned the right to make. You can feel when someone isn't really listening to you. It leaves you frustrated, invisible, sometimes even insulted. And yet, so many do it without realizing they're doing it. That's because we've gotten used to conversations being one-way streets where we wait for our turn to speak rather than showing up to understand. This habit of half-listening is one of the biggest reasons people fail in leadership, in relationships, and in daily human connection. It's why misunderstandings pile up. It's why conflict grows unnecessarily. It's why people don't feel heard, even when someone is standing right in front of them. Because it's not enough to hear someone's words, you've got to listen to their meaning. You've got to sit with it, take it in, and let your response come from understanding instead of assumption. Listening fully means putting your ego aside. It means you're not in a rush to prove something. You're not waiting to be right. You're not using someone's words as a springboard for your own opinions. You're not looking for gaps in their sentences so you can jump in. Instead, you're grounded, attentive, patient. You're present. And that presence creates something powerful. It creates safety. It creates space for people to tell the truth, not just what they think you want to hear. You'd be surprised what people will share with you if they sense you're really listening. The stories they've never told, the pain they carry behind the smile, the insight that can help you see the world through their eyes. But they won't give you that if they feel judged, rushed, or dismissed. That kind of listening is rare, and that's why it's so valuable. Every time you enter a conversation, you have a choice. You can come in with the mindset of a judge, or you can come in with the mindset of a learner. A judge listens just long enough to deliver a verdict. A learner listens with curiosity. They listen to understand, not to win. They want to know why someone believes what they believe, why they feel the way they do, why they made the choice they made. That kind of listening builds bridges. It deepens trust. It invites cooperation and removes defensiveness. Now, listening fully doesn't mean you have to agree with everything someone says. But it does mean you're giving them the dignity of being heard. It means you're giving their words the attention they deserve before you respond. That pause before you answer that space is where maturity lives. It's where wisdom has room to work. That's where your responses stop being automatic and start being thoughtful. Most arguments don't come from real disagreement. They come from the fact that people don't feel understood. Think about the last time someone responded to you before you were finished speaking. Didn't it make you shut down a little? Didn't it feel like they weren't even listening to the full picture? That's how most people experience communication today: quick, shallow, transactional. But full listening is transformational. This takes effort. It takes patience. And yes, it takes humility. You have to quiet the urge to jump in. You have to silence the voice in your head that wants to fix, defend, or correct. You've got to stop thinking 3 steps ahead and start standing still in the moment. You've got to train yourself to take in the full weight of what someone is saying and not just the part you like or the part you disagree with. Ask yourself the next time you're in a conversation, am I listening with the intention to understand or with the intention to reply? Because they are not the same. When you listen to reply, your mind is already forming an answer before the other person has finished speaking. When you listen to understand, you stay quiet, not just with your mouth, but with your thoughts. You're not rushing ahead. You're staying with them fully until the very end. This isn't just about being polite. It's about becoming effective. Because if you don't really understand what someone is telling you, your response will always miss the mark. You'll be talking past them, not to them. And that leads to frustration, to mistrust, to disconnect. But when you listen fully, your response lands. It hits the target because it's rooted in truth, not assumption. Listening is a skill that can open doors no amount of talking ever will. It creates influence without force. It builds relationships without pressure. It earns respect without demanding it. People remember how you made them feel, and nothing makes someone feel more seen, more valued, than knowing you took the time to hear them out without rushing to react. You want to be someone others respect? You want to lead? You want to grow? Then stop being the loudest voice in the room and start being the quietest mind. Start tuning in. Start seeing listening not as a pause before speaking, but as the point of the conversation itself. Because when people feel heard, they open up, they drop their guard, they become real. And that's when true connection happens. In any social situation, be the one who listens longer than expected. Be the one who doesn't interrupt, who waits to respond, who lets the silence breathe after someone shares something vulnerable. Don't rush to fill the gaps. Sometimes silence is where people reveal the most. When you listen fully, you learn more in a 5-minute conversation than most people do in an hour of talking. This habit can change your life. It can make you a better partner, a better leader, a better parent, a better friend. And it's something you can start doing today, not by studying a new technique, but by slowing down and choosing to care. Choosing to care enough to be patient. Choosing to care enough to stay quiet when someone else needs to speak. Choosing to care enough to stop trying to be impressive and start being present. If you really want to grow, learn to close your mouth and open your mind. Don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes, with your body, with your attention. Listen like it matters, because it does. People aren't always asking you to solve their problems. Sometimes they're just asking you to care enough to listen until they've said everything they need to say. And when you can give someone that, you've given them more than words ever could. Number 3. Mirror body language subtly to build connection quickly. Most people don't realize how often they make others feel uncomfortable without saying a single word. It happens in meetings, in conversations with co-workers, on dates, even with family. The energy feels off. There's tension. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's there. And most of the time, that disconnect doesn't come from what's being said, it comes from what's being shown. Our bodies are always talking, even when our mouths are silent. And if you're not aligned with the other person's energy, even slightly, you create distance instead of connection. Think about how often we meet someone new and instantly feel whether we vibe with them or not. It's not based on facts. It's not based on anything logical. It's based on feel, and feel comes from behavior. The way someone stands, the angle of their shoulders, the pace of their gestures, all of it communicates safety or discomfort, similarity or difference. Most people respond to those signals unconsciously. But the people who understand social intelligence know how to use them on purpose, and one of the most effective tools they use is subtle mirroring. Mirroring body language isn't manipulation. It's not about copying someone or being fake. It's about creating alignment. It's about showing, without words, that you're in tune with the other person's pace and presence. When done with intention and sincerity, it builds comfort. People start to feel that you're on the same page, even before you speak much. That sense of "this person gets me" grows quietly but powerfully, all because your physical behavior puts them at ease. You've probably experienced this already without realizing it. Ever been in a conversation where everything just flowed? The eye contact was easy. You both leaned in at the same time. You smiled, they smiled. You crossed your leg. A moment later, they did too. And neither of you thought about it, but you felt connected. That's mirroring in action. It creates trust without having to earn it through effort. It happens through presence, through rhythm, through awareness. Now here's the key. This has to be subtle. If you copy someone too closely or too quickly, it comes off as awkward or even creepy. Social intelligence requires a light touch. You don't mimic, you reflect. If someone leans in just slightly, you lean in a little too. If they speak slowly and calmly, you slow your pace to match theirs. If they use more hand gestures, you allow yours to become a little more expressive. You're not pretending. You're adjusting. You're meeting them where they are. This kind of mirroring helps bypass defenses. In today's world, people carry a lot of emotional armor. They're guarded, they've been judged, rejected, ignored. So when they meet someone who matches their energy and body language, it disarms them. It tells them, "You're safe here. You don't need to protect yourself." That's the foundation for real communication. In practical terms, start by noticing how people move when they're comfortable. Watch their breathing. Is it fast or slow? Their posture, is it relaxed or upright? Their gestures wide or contained? Don't judge it. Just observe. Then begin to lightly sync with it. Don't rush. Don't force. Make small natural adjustments. Let your body speak the same language. You're not changing who you are. You're becoming more socially aware. This works especially well in tense situations. Imagine you're talking to someone who's nervous. They're closed off, arms crossed, foot tapping. Instead of telling them to relax, you can help them calm down by grounding your own body. Soften your shoulders. Keep your voice steady. Slow your movements. When you do this, their body starts to follow yours. Their nervous system takes the cue from your calm presence. It's one of the most powerful forms of influence, not by control, but by emotional leadership. The people who lead with influence in this world, the ones others naturally trust, aren't always the smartest in the room, but they're often the most aware. They know how to match the energy in a room, and when necessary, shift it. They use body language as a bridge, not a wall. They don't overpower others with their energy. They adjust it to create harmony. If you're in a job interview, mirror the posture of your interviewer lightly. Sit how they sit, match their level of formality. It builds rapport fast. If you're giving a presentation, watch your audience. If they're leaning in, you lean in. If they're still, don't pace too much. Mirroring helps keep you in sync. It keeps you connected, and that connection helps your message land. If you're leading a team, practice mirroring in one-on-ones. People feel more relaxed, more heard, when they sense you're tuned into them, not just with your ears, but with your whole presence. You'll start noticing that even difficult conversations become easier when your body language creates a sense of "we're in this together." Now, this doesn't mean you become a chameleon with no personality. You still bring your own presence, but you bring it in a way that respects and reflects the space you're in. You don't impose. You align, you make others feel seen, and in doing so, you create influence that isn't forced. It's earned. The more you do this, the more intuitive it becomes. Your brain starts to pick up patterns faster. Your body responds without overthinking, and the result is powerful. People open up to you. They follow your lead. They feel comfortable around you, even if they've only just met you. In every human interaction, we're asking one silent question. Are we the same? When you mirror someone's body language with care and authenticity, the answer to that question becomes yes. And that yes is the beginning of connection, influence, cooperation, and respect. Pay attention to the moments when you feel disconnected from someone. Before blaming them, ask yourself, am I fully aligned with their energy? Am I meeting them where they are? Am I giving off signals that I'm closed or disinterested? Your body can either open a door or shut it. It's your choice. This is not about tricks. It's about care. It's about making others feel seen, understood, and safe in your presence. And that is one of the most underrated leadership skills there is. The best communicators don't always say more. They feel more, and they allow others to feel seen through something as simple as posture, presence, and pace. That's the art of social intelligence. Not loud, not flashy, just real. And it starts with a choice, to pay attention not just to what others are saying, but to how they're showing up. When you master that, you connect quicker, deeper, and more meaningfully than most ever will. Number 4. Ask clarifying questions to avoid misunderstandings early. One of the biggest hurdles people face when trying to connect or communicate effectively is the simple fact that they assume they understand what the other person means before they've actually made sure. Misunderstandings grow from assumptions. When assumptions take root, the smallest miscommunication can turn into an argument, a lost opportunity, or a broken relationship. Almost everyone has experienced the frustration of thinking you know what someone meant, only to discover later that you were completely off. It's a common trap because it feels easier to fill in the blanks yourself than to ask the hard questions. But here's the reality. If you want to master social intelligence, the habit of asking clarifying questions early is non-negotiable. People communicate in different ways. Some speak with precise clarity, while others are vague or indirect without even realizing it. Cultural backgrounds, personal experiences, emotions, all of these shape how someone expresses themselves. So, what sounds clear to one person may sound confusing to another. That's why stopping yourself to ask, "Can you explain that a bit more?" or "What exactly do you mean by that?" can save so much trouble down the road. This isn't about interrogation or skepticism, it's about respect. It shows you care enough to get it right. The problem is, most people fear asking questions because they think it might make them look uninformed or slow. But the truth is, clarity breeds confidence. When you ask for clarification, you take control of the conversation. You avoid guessing games. You build trust. It says, "I'm committed to understanding you fully, and I value what you're saying enough to make sure I'm on the same page." This turns conversations from confusing to constructive. When a conversation feels off, it's usually because one or both people are operating on assumptions. These invisible gaps lead to misaligned expectations. For example, in work situations, a vague instruction can cause an employee to waste time on the wrong task. In relationships, an unclear comment can hurt feelings unnecessarily. If only someone had asked a simple question early on, those problems could have been avoided. To develop this habit, listen actively and attentively. When something is unclear, pause. Resist the urge to fill the silence immediately with your own ideas or answers. Instead, invite the other person to clarify. Say things like, "Help me understand what you mean by that," or "Could you give me an example?" This invites the speaker to deepen their explanation, which often clears up any confusion right away. The power of clarifying questions is even stronger when emotions run high. When someone is upset or defensive, jumping to conclusions can make things worse. But asking calm, thoughtful questions helps slow down the exchange. It shifts the focus from reacting to understanding. It allows the person to feel heard and encourages them to express themselves more fully, which diffuses tension. Remember, the goal is to get beyond the surface of words. People often say one thing but mean another, especially when emotions are involved. A question like, "When you say you're frustrated, what's the main cause of that?" uncovers the root issue, instead of leaving you stuck in the frustration itself. This creates space for real problem-solving and connection. This doesn't mean you have to interrogate every sentence. The art lies in asking just enough questions at the right moments, especially when the stakes are high or the message seems unclear. Overdoing it can make conversations feel like interviews, which shuts people down. So balance your curiosity with respect for the other person's time and energy. In daily life, practicing clarifying questions will sharpen your listening skills and make you stand out. People will appreciate your efforts to understand, and you'll avoid countless mistakes born from assumptions. This skill also builds your confidence because you're not guessing or guessing wrong, you're getting facts and feelings straight from the source. It's worth noting that asking clarifying questions can also be a form of humility. It says you don't pretend to know everything and are willing to learn. That kind of openness attracts respect and invites others to be more transparent with you. It breaks down walls, especially in difficult or sensitive conversations. There's a powerful difference between hearing words and grasping meaning. Clarifying questions bridge that gap. They turn one-sided conversations into two-way dialogues. They invite deeper connection. They reduce confusion. They create trust. When conversations feel stuck or confusing, instead of shutting down or shutting the other person out, ask. When you sense that someone isn't saying what they truly mean, ask. When you feel your own assumptions creeping in, ask. It's one of the simplest yet most overlooked tools for mastering social intelligence. In leadership, this habit can transform teams. Instead of assuming everyone knows the plan, a leader who asks, "What part needs more explanation?" makes everyone clearer and more aligned. In friendships, instead of guessing why someone is upset, asking, "Can you tell me what's going on?" opens the door for honesty. In negotiations, clarifying ensures that agreements are built on shared understanding, not guesswork. Many people miss opportunities because they don't bother to ask. They talk past each other. They miss the real point. You don't have to be one of those people. When you choose to ask questions that clarify, you become a problem solver. You become someone others turn to when things get confusing or complicated. You become trustworthy. This skill isn't something you develop overnight. It takes practice to notice when you're making assumptions and to resist jumping to conclusions. It takes courage to pause and ask, especially in high-pressure situations. But every time you do, you make progress. Imagine how many conflicts, misunderstandings, and disappointments could vanish if everyone simply asked a few clarifying questions. Imagine how much smoother your conversations would flow if you didn't assume but sought understanding. Imagine how much stronger your relationships would be if you showed the willingness to dig deeper instead of settling for surface-level words. Social intelligence is not about talking more. It's about understanding better. Asking clarifying questions is one of the most direct ways to improve that understanding. It's a sign of respect, curiosity, and emotional maturity. It's a skill that sets you apart because it shows you're engaged in the conversation, committed to truth, and serious about connection. When you build this habit, you don't just avoid misunderstandings, you build bridges. You create a space where honesty and clarity live. You make yourself approachable. You increase your influence. And most importantly, you build relationships that last. If social intelligence is a muscle, asking clarifying questions is the exercise that keeps it strong and flexible. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. The more natural it feels, and the more you'll see your world change because you're finally understanding people the way they want to be understood. Number 5. Practice empathy by considering others' feelings and perspectives. People often underestimate how much of our daily challenges, conflicts, and frustrations come from failing to see things from someone else's point of view. Most relationships, whether at work, at home, or in social settings, falter because one or both parties get stuck in their own world, their own feelings, their own thoughts, and forget that the other person is carrying a full life with emotions, fears, hopes, and struggles. Empathy is not some soft, fluffy idea. It's the cornerstone of true social intelligence. Without it, communication breaks down, misunderstandings multiply, and doors close that could have been opened with a little more understanding. Far too many people approach conversations and relationships expecting to be heard, but not really ready to listen. They want their opinions acknowledged, their needs met, but they aren't willing to step outside themselves to genuinely grasp what the other person is feeling or thinking. That's the hard truth. Being empathetic means moving beyond your own experience and trying to walk in the shoes of the other person, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging. It requires effort. It demands presence. But it changes everything. It's easy to say, be empathetic, but practicing it in real life means paying attention not just to words, but to the emotional undercurrents beneath them. When someone talks about their day, their frustration, or a problem, they are giving clues about their emotional state. The way their voice rises or falls, the tension in their shoulders, the hesitation before they speak, all of this is a roadmap to what they're really experiencing. Social intelligence means tuning into those signals, then responding not with judgment or advice first, but with understanding. Empathy also means recognizing that someone's feelings are real and valid, even if you don't agree with their perspective. You might not see the world the same way, but that doesn't make their experience any less important. When you acknowledge that, you create a safe space for honest conversation. People open up when they feel accepted. They relax when they don't have to defend themselves or convince you. And that openness is the soil where connection grows. A lot of conflict could be avoided if people simply paused and asked themselves, how is this person feeling right now? Or why might they see this differently? It's hard to do when you're in the middle of a disagreement, especially if emotions are running high. But social intelligence isn't about reacting. It's about responding with intention, calm, and compassion. That's what empathy provides. It gives you the space to listen beyond the surface, to hear the human beneath the words. To build empathy, start by slowing down your thoughts about what you want to say next. Instead of planning your response, focus fully on the other person. Imagine what their day has been like. Consider what pressures or joys might be influencing their mood. Think about what history or fears might be shaping their point of view. When you take this approach, the interaction shifts. You're no longer just reacting to what's in front of you. You're engaging with a whole person. This practice also requires you to check your own biases and assumptions. Sometimes, your personal history or beliefs make it difficult to see the other side clearly. Maybe you dismiss feelings as overreactions, or write off concerns as not a big deal. Those judgments block empathy and close doors. Instead, recognize that your view is just one piece of the puzzle. Let go of the need to be right in order to understand. Empathy isn't about fixing problems right away or offering solutions unless they're asked for. Often, the most helpful thing you can do is simply listen and acknowledge. A statement like, "That sounds really tough," or "I can see why that upset you," goes a long way toward building trust. It shows you're present with their experience. That presence alone can soothe pain and dissolve barriers. There's a physical side to empathy as well. When you practice it, your body language changes, your eyes soften, your face relaxes, your posture opens. These subtle signals communicate to the other person that you care and are engaged. That helps deepen the emotional connection and encourages more open communication. Empathy also expands your ability to influence. People who feel understood are more willing to listen. They're less defensive, they lower their guard. When you want to lead, negotiate, or collaborate, empathy is your secret weapon. It allows you to build bridges rather than walls. In personal relationships, empathy is the foundation of intimacy. It turns routine interactions into moments of genuine connection. Partners who practice empathy don't just live together, they understand each other's hopes and fears. Friends who empathize don't just share activities, they support each other through challenges. Families that cultivate empathy don't just coexist, they grow stronger through shared understanding. On the other hand, when empathy is missing, people feel isolated, misunderstood, and defensive. Walls go up. Communication becomes shallow or hostile. The result is loneliness and frustration, even among those who spend a lot of time together. Social intelligence reverses this by putting empathy front and center. Empathy also means being patient with others. Sometimes people can't articulate their feelings well. Sometimes they lash out because they're hurting inside. When you practice empathy, you learn to see past the surface behavior to the pain or fear underneath. That doesn't mean you accept bad behavior, but you understand its source. This understanding gives you the power to respond with kindness and boundaries instead of anger or withdrawal. Another aspect of empathy is recognizing the limits of your own experience. No matter how much you've been through, you can't fully live another person's reality. What empathy allows is your willingness to try. It's your openness to learn and listen. That willingness builds trust in itself. It invites others to share more honestly. You don't have to be perfect at empathy to improve your social intelligence. It's a muscle that grows with consistent effort. The more you practice stepping into others' shoes, the more natural it becomes. You start to see patterns in behavior and emotion. You anticipate reactions more easily. You become someone people want to talk to because they know you truly care. This skill is especially critical in today's fast-paced, often disconnected world. Technology can make us more distant, less present, and more self-focused. But social intelligence is about reversing that trend by fostering real, emotional connections. Empathy is the core of those connections. It transforms transactions into relationships. Consider how much easier conversations become when you approach them with empathy. When you meet someone's emotion with compassion instead of judgment, you create a moment of peace and understanding. That moment can change the entire course of the interaction and sometimes the course of a relationship. Empathy also improves your ability to work with diverse people. When you appreciate different perspectives, you reduce bias and open yourself to new ideas. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also broadens your worldview and deepens your wisdom. Practicing empathy takes courage because it exposes you to vulnerability. It means caring deeply, even when it's uncomfortable. It means sometimes carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. But that willingness is what builds social intelligence that truly matters. Intelligence that connects, heals, and empowers. Number 6. Stay present and focused during every social interaction. In a world that constantly pulls our attention in 100 different directions, staying fully present in a conversation or any social interaction has become one of the most challenging skills to master. Most people find themselves physically in the room, but mentally somewhere else, thinking about what's next on their to-do list, replaying past conversations, or scrolling through their phone. The reality is, when you're not fully focused on the person you're with, you lose the essence of connection. It's not just about hearing words. It's about absorbing the feelings, the subtle cues, and the unspoken messages that truly matter. Without presence, social intelligence can't develop, and relationships stay shallow or strained. Every social interaction is a unique moment that demands your full attention. If you wander mentally, you miss critical information and opportunities to connect. People can tell when you're distracted. They feel the lack of interest and often shut down or become defensive. Staying present means giving someone your undivided attention, your eyes, your ears, and your heart. It's a rare gift that people remember and appreciate deeply. And it's what separates good communicators from great ones. When distracted, the brain can only process part of what's happening. This partial attention leads to misunderstandings, missed signals, and ineffective responses. Imagine listening to a story and only catching half the details. How would that make you feel? Probably unimportant, overlooked, or dismissed. The same goes for others when you are not fully there. Staying focused creates a sense of respect and value. It says, "You matter right now." Being present also allows you to respond more thoughtfully. When your mind is racing or drifting, your replies become automatic or defensive, often missing the true needs behind the words. But when you focus fully, you can sense emotions and intentions, pick up on inconsistencies, and respond with clarity and kindness. That kind of interaction builds trust and strengthens bonds. This level of focus requires more than just physical presence. It demands mental discipline. It means intentionally setting aside distractions before stepping into a conversation. Turn off notifications, close unrelated tabs, and resist the urge to multitask. These small actions help your mind settle and prepare to engage completely. Another part of staying present is managing internal distractions, your own worries, judgments, or assumptions that pull your attention away. These internal voices often hijack conversations because they push you to think about what you're going to say next or how you're being perceived. Instead of listening, you rehearse or defend. To counter this, practice grounding yourself in the moment. Notice your breath, feel your feet on the floor, and remind yourself to focus on the person in front of you. This simple practice can anchor your mind and calm it down. Presence also deepens your ability to notice subtle changes in mood or tone. When you are distracted, these shifts slip by unnoticed, but when fully engaged, you pick up on a nervous glance, a sudden silence, or a slight change in voice. These signals often reveal what words do not. They tell you when someone is uncomfortable, excited, or holding back. This insight allows you to adjust your response accordingly, making the interaction smoother and more meaningful. Many social failures happen because people miss these cues. They rush ahead, assuming they know what the other person thinks or feels without really checking. Staying focused prevents these costly mistakes by ensuring you gather all the information before reacting. It creates space for clarity and prevents assumptions from running wild. Presence also builds confidence. When you know you are fully tuned in, your reactions come from a place of awareness rather than guesswork. You speak with certainty because you understand the situation better. Others pick up on this confidence and feel safer sharing with you. It creates a positive feedback loop where focused attention leads to deeper connection, which encourages even more openness. Some might say staying present is exhausting, but it's more about quality than quantity. Even brief moments of full attention can transform interactions. A quick pause to really look someone in the eye, a deliberate nod, or a focused question shows you care enough to be there fully. Those moments accumulate and build strong social bonds. Practicing presence also helps with emotional regulation. When you're scattered, feelings can overwhelm you without control. But when focused, you have more control over your emotions and reactions. You notice feelings as they arise and can choose how to respond, instead of reacting impulsively. This control is essential in difficult conversations or tense situations. Children naturally exhibit presence. They listen and respond with full attention because everything is new and interesting. As adults, life's pressures teach us to divide our focus, but reclaiming that childlike presence rekindles genuine connection. It reminds us that every interaction is an opportunity to learn, to understand, and to grow. Training yourself to stay present takes time and consistent effort. Start by setting clear intentions before entering social situations. Remind yourself that this interaction deserves your full focus. Use active listening techniques, such as summarizing what the other person says or asking questions that require thoughtful answers. These tools keep your mind engaged and on track. It's important to recognize when your attention drifts and gently bring it back without judgment. Self-awareness is part of presence. When you catch yourself zoning out, acknowledge it, then refocus. Over time, this muscle becomes stronger and staying present feels more natural. The benefits extend beyond just one conversation. Presence enriches your entire social life. It improves your ability to form new relationships and strengthens existing ones. People seek you out because they know you will give them genuine attention, which is a rare and valuable commodity. In professional settings, presence can be a game changer. Whether leading a meeting, negotiating a deal, or coaching a team, your focused attention influences outcomes. People feel heard, respected, and motivated. Your leadership is more effective because it's grounded in real understanding. Presence also sharpens your ability to read nonverbal cues, which ties back to earlier principles of social intelligence. When fully engaged, you see not just what is said, but how it's said, body language, facial expressions, energy levels. These details provide a fuller picture of the conversation and allow for more skillful responses. Staying present protects you from misunderstandings that arise from half-heard words or assumptions. It turns communication from guessing games into clear exchanges. This clarity reduces frustration and builds smoother interactions. Ultimately, presence honors the value of human connection. It acknowledges that every person you meet has a story worth hearing, emotions worth feeling, and a unique perspective worth understanding. When you stay focused, you validate those truths with your attention. Being present means you are fully alive in the moment with others. It allows relationships to flourish because you bring your whole self, mind, heart, and soul. That authenticity is magnetic. It opens doors that polite words alone cannot. Number 7. Use tone of voice to express genuine interest clearly. People often underestimate the power of their tone of voice. Words matter, but the way they are spoken carries a whole different level of meaning. Most communication isn't just about the dictionary definitions we memorize. It's about the feeling and intention behind those words. It's how you say something that reveals your true interest, respect, or care. In everyday conversations, this is a skill that separates a mechanical exchange of information from a real human connection. When the tone is flat, bored, or rushed, even the most sincere words can feel hollow or dismissive. On the other hand, when your tone is warm, engaged, and varied, it invites people in and shows them that you truly care about what they are saying. Many people struggle with this because they focus so much on what to say that they neglect how they say it. The tone you use can either build bridges or burn them down. It's an invisible force that influences how others perceive you and how open they become. Imagine sharing a story with someone who speaks in a monotone, uninterested voice versus someone who changes their pitch, softens their tone at emotional moments, or lifts their energy when sharing excitement. The difference is like night and day. That subtle variation pulls people in, makes them feel valued, and keeps them engaged. Using your voice well starts with self-awareness. Notice how your tone shifts in different situations. Are you speaking quickly when nervous? Do you sound flat when tired? These small habits can make a big difference in how people receive your message. Slowing down your speech, adding warmth to your voice, and allowing natural inflections can transform the way you connect. It's important to match your tone to the situation and the person you're speaking with. When someone shares something vulnerable or serious, a softer, empathetic tone helps them feel safe. When celebrating good news, a brighter, enthusiastic tone conveys genuine happiness for them. Your tone acts as an emotional guide that helps the listener understand not just what you mean, but how you feel about what you're saying. Many misunderstandings happen because tone is missing or misread. A sarcastic or impatient tone can turn a simple question into a confrontation. Even a well-meaning comment can sound like criticism if the tone is harsh or cold. That's why mastering tone of voice is crucial for social intelligence. It prevents confusion and keeps conversations respectful and productive. Tone also works closely with body language and facial expressions. When all these align, your message is clear and believable. But if your words say one thing and your tone another, people get mixed signals and don't know what to trust. For example, telling someone you're happy to see them but sounding indifferent will cause doubt. Consistency between voice and message creates trust and authenticity. When you want to express genuine interest, your tone must invite the other person to share more. It should make them feel heard and understood. This means avoiding a dismissive or rushed tone, even when you're busy or distracted. It takes practice to consciously soften your voice, slow your pace, and add warmth, especially in stressful or hurried moments, but the payoff is huge. One way to improve your tone is to listen to recordings of yourself speaking. Notice where your voice sounds monotone or rushed. Work on varying your pitch and adding pauses to emphasize important points. These pauses give space for the listener to process and respond, making the interaction feel more natural and respectful. Another key element is the volume of your voice. Speaking too loudly can come across as aggressive, while speaking too softly can seem unsure or uninterested. Finding the right volume one that matches the setting and the mood shows confidence and care. When you adjust your volume thoughtfully, you show respect for both the message and the listener. Tone is not just about the sound of your voice, but also the energy behind it. Genuine interest carries a kind of energy that people can feel even if they don't hear every word clearly. That energy makes your presence magnetic and your conversations richer. When you approach interactions with this energy, it elevates your social skills to a new level. It's easy to slip into neutral or mechanical tones during routine conversations, but those moments are just as important as big discussions. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice and refine your tone. From greeting a coworker to resolving a conflict, your voice sets the stage for the connection you want to build. Sometimes, people avoid showing emotion through their tone because they fear vulnerability or judgment. But vulnerability is the foundation of authentic communication. When you allow your tone to reflect your true feelings, whether excitement, concern, curiosity, or kindness, you invite others to do the same. This openness strengthens bonds and fosters trust. To speak with genuine interest, focus fully on the person and the moment. Let your tone naturally reflect your engagement. Be curious and compassionate. This combination makes your voice a powerful tool for building relationships, influencing others, and creating positive experiences. Using tone effectively also means knowing when to be quiet. Sometimes the softest tone is silence, which shows respect and allows others to speak freely. Listening attentively without interrupting or rushing to respond deepens the connection and demonstrates true interest. In every conversation, tone acts as the emotional layer beneath words. It can soothe tensions, encourage openness, and convey respect. By mastering how you use your voice, you become not just a better communicator, but a more empathetic and influential person. Your tone shapes the atmosphere of every interaction. It can invite warmth and cooperation, or create distance and misunderstanding. When you develop the habit of speaking with genuine interest through your tone, you open doors that words alone cannot unlock. Practice tuning into your tone in daily life. Notice how it changes when you feel rushed, tired, excited, or worried. Make small adjustments to soften harshness, increase warmth, and express care. Over time, this awareness becomes second nature and transforms your social presence. Your voice is a tool you carry with you always. Use it to build bridges, not walls. Use it to show that you value others and the time you spend with them. Use it to make your communication clear, kind, and powerful. When tone matches intention, every conversation becomes an opportunity to connect, inspire, and influence positively. That's the real power of mastering your voice in social intelligence. It's not just about speaking well, it's about speaking with heart. Number 8. Recognize emotional triggers to respond calmly and wisely. People often find themselves caught in moments where emotions flare up, and reactions happen almost automatically without thought or control. This happens because certain words, situations, or even body language can ignite deep feelings inside us, sometimes ones we barely understand. Those moments are tough. They're the times when patience thins, judgments harden, and misunderstandings grow. It's a reality that almost everyone faces. The challenge isn't to avoid emotional triggers altogether. That's impossible, but to recognize them clearly, understand their power, and learn how to respond with calm and wisdom. Recognizing emotional triggers means becoming deeply aware of the specific things that push your buttons. It might be a tone of voice that sounds dismissive, a phrase that reminds you of past criticism, or even a particular setting that makes you feel uneasy. These triggers aren't random. They are tied to your past experiences, your beliefs, and sometimes your fears. When triggered, the brain's survival instinct kicks in, flooding the body with adrenaline and pushing you toward fight, flight, or freeze reactions. This isn't just mental, it's physical and automatic. Because triggers work so fast, they often catch us off guard. You may suddenly feel anger, frustration, or sadness rising and find yourself reacting harshly, shutting down, or withdrawing completely. What's important is to pause and realize that the initial emotional surge doesn't have to control your response. That pause, even if it's just a second, can change everything. Emotional triggers are signals, not commands. They alert you to something important underneath the surface. Maybe a boundary has been crossed, or a personal value has been challenged. Instead of reacting immediately, look at the trigger as an opportunity to understand yourself better. Ask why this particular thing stirred such a strong reaction. What story or belief does it connect to? That kind of reflection takes courage, but creates space for thoughtful responses rather than knee-jerk reactions. Responding calmly doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It means recognizing your feelings without letting them drive your behavior. When you can hold your emotions gently, you gain the power to choose your words and actions wisely. This ability to manage emotional triggers is a cornerstone of social intelligence because it prevents unnecessary conflict and builds trust. Developing this skill requires practice. Start by noticing the physical signs of being triggered: racing heart, tight chest, clenched jaw, shallow breathing. When you catch these signs early, you can use simple techniques like deep breathing or grounding yourself in the present moment to slow down your reaction. These small moments of self-control create a big difference in how interactions unfold. It also helps to mentally prepare for situations that you know might trigger you. If you anticipate a difficult conversation, remind yourself to stay aware of your triggers and commit to responding thoughtfully. Visualize yourself remaining calm, even if strong emotions arise. This mental rehearsal strengthens your ability to stay grounded in real moments. When you remain calm, your presence becomes a stabilizing force for others as well. People around you sense your control and are less likely to escalate tension. This creates an environment where open dialogue is possible. They feel safe to express themselves without fear of harsh judgment or angry outbursts. Responding wisely means focusing on the bigger picture, not just the immediate emotion. It means considering the outcome you want from the interaction. Do you want to understand the other person better, solve a problem, maintain a relationship? When you keep that goal in mind, it guides you to respond in ways that move towards solutions instead of conflict. Words chosen during emotional moments can have lasting impact. A harsh comment can damage a relationship, while a calm, clear statement can build respect and open doors. Wise responses also include acknowledging your feelings without blaming the other person. Phrases like, "I feel frustrated when," or "this situation makes me uneasy." Express your experience honestly, but invite collaboration instead of defensiveness. It's also critical to recognize that emotional triggers can be very personal. What sets you off might not affect someone else at all. This understanding deepens empathy. When you see that others have their own triggers and struggles, you can approach interactions with more patience and kindness. You begin to realize that harsh reactions often hide pain or fear. Sometimes, emotional triggers can signal unresolved issues from the past. These are not just annoyances, but invitations for inner work and healing. By paying attention to these signals, you can seek support, whether through reflection, conversation with trusted people, or professional help. Healing these wounds reduces their power to hijack your reactions. In social settings, recognizing your triggers helps you stay present instead of retreating into defensive patterns. You can choose to listen fully, ask questions, and engage even when emotions run high. This ability builds respect because people feel you handle tough moments with maturity and care. Managing emotional triggers also protects your own well-being. Reacting impulsively often leads to regret, guilt, or damaged relationships. Calm responses help maintain your peace of mind and self-respect. They allow you to navigate social challenges with grace rather than chaos. An essential part of this skill is forgiving yourself when you do get triggered and respond poorly. Nobody is perfect. What matters is learning from each experience and strengthening your ability to respond better next time. This mindset turns every interaction into a chance for growth. Recognizing emotional triggers and responding calmly is not about weakness. It is a sign of strength and wisdom. It takes courage to pause, reflect, and choose your response when emotions push hard. But this courage pays off by making your relationships deeper and your life more peaceful. You become a person others want to be around because you create safety in your presence. Your calm steadiness encourages others to share honestly and respect your viewpoint. This mutual respect builds powerful connections that withstand challenges. When you commit to this skill, you also gain greater control over your own happiness. You no longer let outside events dictate your inner state. You become the master of your emotions instead of their servant. This freedom changes how you experience every social interaction. Practice begins with simple awareness and small choices every day. Notice when you feel triggered. Breathe. Step back mentally. Choose a calm response. Over time, this becomes second nature. Your ability to handle emotional triggers wisely is a foundation of true social intelligence. It creates space for meaningful dialogue, mutual understanding, and lasting relationships. It frees you from the chains of impulsive reactions and guides you toward thoughtful, intentional living. In mastering this, you hold a key not only to better social skills, but to a richer, more peaceful life. It's a journey worth taking because it touches every part of who you are and how you connect with others. Number 9. Adapt your communication style to fit the situation. There are moments in life when communication feels like hitting a wall, where your words don't land the way you want, and connections seem out of reach. Most people have been there talking past each other, feeling misunderstood, or worse, shutting down completely because the message didn't fit the listener's needs. This is a reality many face every day. What separates those who succeed in relationships, business, and leadership is the ability to adapt their communication style depending on the situation and the person they're dealing with. Adaptation isn't about changing who you are or being fake. It's about flexibility and awareness. It means recognizing that every person is unique and every situation calls for a different approach. One size does not fit all when it comes to communication. If you continue using the same style no matter the context, you'll limit your influence and miss out on deeper connections. Learning to adjust your words, tone, body language, and even pace opens doors others can't reach. The first step to adapting communication is understanding the different ways people express and receive messages. Some respond best to facts and data. Others tune in through stories and feelings. Some need direct and straightforward communication, while others appreciate gentle and indirect approaches. Recognizing these preferences isn't complicated, it just requires paying attention and being open. When you see someone's reaction, their comfort level, and how they engage, you get clues on how to connect better. Think about a time when you felt ignored or dismissed because the person you were talking to didn't meet you where you were. It's frustrating, isn't it? Now imagine flipping that around and being the one who meets others in their world. When you adjust your communication to their style, barriers dissolve and conversations flow naturally. This is a powerful skill that creates trust and mutual respect. Adapting your style also means being mindful of the environment. Communicating in a busy, noisy place is different from a quiet, intimate setting. Public speaking demands a more formal, clear, and confident approach. One-on-one talks can be softer, more personal. Business meetings often require precision and professionalism, while social gatherings invite warmth and casual tones. Being aware of where you are and tailoring your message accordingly shows respect for the context and those involved. Listening closely is the foundation for adaptation. It's not just about hearing words, but observing how people express themselves, noticing their emotions, energy, and reactions. This deep listening gives you information to shape your communication. When you tune into someone's pace, whether they speak quickly or slowly and match it subtly, you create comfort. When you notice someone prefers detailed explanations, you provide them. If they seem overwhelmed by too much information, you simplify. These small adjustments make a big difference. It's important to remember that adapting doesn't mean losing your authenticity. Your core values, beliefs, and personality remain intact. What changes is the way you deliver your message. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're being strategic and considerate. This shows respect and emotional intelligence. People appreciate when you take the time to understand their way of receiving information rather than forcing your style on them. One common mistake is trying to sound too formal or complicated because you think it makes you sound smarter or more professional. In reality, this often creates distance. Clear, simple, and relatable communication reaches further and creates genuine understanding. The ability to adapt means you can speak to experts using appropriate terminology, but you also know how to break it down for beginners without making them feel less capable. Body language plays a huge role in adaptation. For some, a firm handshake and steady eye contact build trust. For others, a gentle smile and nods make them comfortable. The way you stand or sit, your gestures and facial expressions communicate just as loudly as words. Being aware of these non-verbal cues helps you mirror and align with the other person, deepening connection. Adjusting your posture to match the situation, whether formal or casual, also sends powerful signals of respect and openness. Tone of voice deserves special attention. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Tone conveys emotion, sincerity, and intent. A harsh tone can shut down conversation, while a warm tone invites dialogue. Adapt your tone based on the emotional state of the other person and the message you want to send. If someone is upset, a softer, calming tone helps. If enthusiasm is needed, a lively, upbeat tone lifts the mood. Your voice can either build bridges or walls. Choosing how to use it wisely is essential. Timing is another key element. Sometimes you need to speak up quickly and decisively. Other times, it's best to hold back and listen more. Knowing when to share your thoughts and when to stay silent requires sensitivity and practice. Rushing into a conversation without gauging the mood or readiness of others can cause resistance. Being patient and picking the right moment shows maturity and understanding. Adapting your communication style also means being ready to shift gears mid-conversation. You might start with humor to ease tension, but switch to seriousness when the topic demands it. Flexibility keeps interactions genuine and responsive rather than rigid and forced. People notice when you're tuned in and able to respond appropriately to changing dynamics. This skill also improves your ability to influence and persuade. When you tailor your approach to your audience's values and concerns, your message resonates more deeply. For example, a team member motivated by achievement will respond differently than one who values harmony. Adapting your language and focus accordingly makes your ideas more compelling. It's natural to feel uncertain or uncomfortable when trying to adapt because it takes effort and attention. But the payoff is enormous. Relationships become smoother, misunderstandings decrease, and collaboration increases. You become someone who can handle diverse personalities and situations with ease. This flexibility opens doors personally and professionally. One practical way to build this skill is through observation and feedback. Watch how people react in conversations. Notice what works and what doesn't. Ask trusted friends or colleagues how your communication comes across and what you might adjust. Practice intentionally in everyday interactions. Each experience is a step toward mastery. It's also valuable to remember that adapting your style doesn't mean you must be perfect every time. Communication is dynamic and complex. Some attempts will miss the mark, but each one teaches you more about others and yourself. Stay curious and willing to learn. Being able to adapt communication is a powerful form of respect. It shows that you value others enough to meet them where they are. This respect builds trust and opens up deeper connection. When people feel heard and understood, they become more open, cooperative, and genuine. In a world where communication can easily break down, mastering this adaptability makes you stand out. It's a skill that helps you lead, connect, and succeed in any social or professional setting. It empowers you to move beyond surface-level exchanges to meaningful dialogue. The ability to adjust your communication style isn't something you're born with. It's developed through awareness, practice, and a sincere desire to connect better. Every time you choose to listen, observe, and adapt, you grow stronger in this skill. Number 10. Reflect on interactions to improve future social skills. Many people move through conversations and meetings without ever pausing to think about how they did or what they could do better next time. It's easy to get caught up in the moment and rush on to the next thing without learning from what just happened. But reflection is the hidden key that unlocks lasting improvement in how we connect with others. Without it, social skills remain random and hit or miss. With it, they become intentional, sharp, and powerful. When most folks think about reflection, they imagine something complicated or time-consuming. The truth is, reflection is simple, just taking a few moments to look back honestly and thoughtfully on your recent interactions. What went well? What felt off? Where did you connect and where did you stumble? This practice builds self-awareness, the foundation of social intelligence. The reality is, no one gets communication perfect every time. Everyone makes mistakes, misses cues, or reacts poorly at some point. But the difference between those who grow socially and those who stay stuck is the willingness to examine their experiences. Reflection turns moments of failure or awkwardness into opportunities for growth. It teaches patience and humility because you admit that you don't have all the answers, but you're ready to learn. A common struggle people face is replaying conversations in their mind with frustration or self-criticism, which only drains confidence. Reflection isn't about beating yourself up. It's about being curious and kind with yourself while seeking improvement. Think of it as a conversation with your inner coach, clear, calm, and focused on how to do better next time. When reflecting, the first step is to recall specific details of the interaction. What was said? How did people respond? What were the emotions involved? This helps you move beyond vague feelings and see the reality clearly. For example, instead of, "I felt awkward," you might notice, "I interrupted the other person and they stopped talking." This shift from emotion to fact makes reflection actionable. Next, consider your own role in the interaction. Did you listen fully? Did your words match your tone and body language? Were you present or distracted? Self-examination here isn't about blame but awareness. You want to identify habits or patterns that either help or hurt your communication. Maybe you tend to talk too fast when nervous or avoid eye contact when uncertain. These insights are valuable because they give you targets for change. It's equally important to think about the other person's perspective. How might they have felt? Did they seem engaged or distant? What non-verbal signals did they send? Reflecting on this helps you build empathy and understand social dynamics better. It prepares you to adjust your approach in the future based on others' needs and reactions. Another powerful part of reflection is recognizing emotional triggers that came up during the interaction. Did something the other person said push your buttons? Did you notice frustration, impatience, or defensiveness rising? Understanding your triggers helps you prepare to manage them more effectively next time. This is critical because emotional reactions can cloud judgment and damage relationships if left unchecked. Reflection also involves reviewing the outcome. Did the conversation achieve what you wanted? Did it deepen connection, resolve a problem, or leave things unclear? If the outcome wasn't what you hoped, think about what you could change in your communication to get a better result next time. This future-focused thinking is what turns reflection into strategy. It's natural to want quick results, but real social growth takes time and repetition. Reflection is a daily practice, not a one-time event. After each meaningful interaction, even brief moments spent thinking it over can add up. Over weeks and months, you'll notice your ability to read people, respond wisely, and build rapport improving significantly. Journaling is a practical way to deepen reflection. Writing down your thoughts about conversations helps organize ideas and spot patterns you might miss in your head. It also creates a record to look back on as you grow. Even a few sentences each day can make a big difference. If journaling feels too much, a quiet moment of mindful review works just as well. Another tool for reflection is asking for feedback from people you trust. Sometimes others see things about our communication we don't notice ourselves. Honest, kind feedback provides fresh perspectives and ideas for improvement. When you combine self-reflection with outside input, you create a powerful growth cycle. Reflection builds resilience too. When you understand your communication challenges and strengths, you become less discouraged by setbacks. Instead of feeling defeated, you see each difficulty as a lesson and a step forward. This mindset fuels confidence and persistence, two essential qualities for mastering social intelligence. It's easy to focus only on the big conversations, job interviews, presentations, tough talks, but reflection matters in everyday exchanges too. How you greet a coworker, share ideas in a meeting, or handle a casual chat all shape your social skills. Small moments add up, and reflecting on these can uncover surprising insights. Improved social skills don't just make you better at talking, they enhance your entire life. Stronger connections lead to more opportunities, support, and fulfillment. Reflection helps you build those connections thoughtfully and intentionally. It helps you become someone people want to be around, listen to, and trust. This practice also strengthens emotional intelligence. As you reflect, you become more aware of feelings, yours and others. You learn to navigate emotions with skill rather than being controlled by them. This emotional mastery brings calmness and clarity to interactions, even under pressure. Over time, reflection turns you into a keen observer of human behavior. You start to notice patterns, motivations, and subtle signals that others miss. This awareness allows you to respond more effectively and with greater impact. You don't just react, you act with insight and purpose. Reflection deepens your understanding of yourself too. Communication is a mirror of who you are, your values, fears, strengths, and growth areas. By looking honestly at your interactions, you learn more about your character and how to align your behavior with your goals. The power of reflection lies in its simplicity and consistency. You don't need special tools or training, just willingness and honesty. Make reflection a habit. After each conversation, take a moment to ask yourself what worked, what didn't, and what you can do differently next time. This small effort compounds into profound mastery of social intelligence. In this busy world, reflection might seem like a luxury, but it's a necessity for anyone serious about connecting deeply with others. Without it, growth stalls and relationships stay shallow. With it, you unlock doors to understanding, influence, and meaningful engagement. This process transforms communication from a guessing game into a skill you control. It gives you confidence because you know you're learning from every experience. It builds humility because you accept imperfection as part of growth. It creates hope because every interaction becomes a chance to improve. Reflection isn't just about looking back. It's about moving forward with purpose. It's the tool that turns every conversation into a stepping stone on your journey to becoming socially intelligent. The journey is ongoing, but the results are powerful and life-changing.